Hey, everybody, Doug here from 2 Plus Stuff. Good morning, happy Thursday. Today, I'm just going to be doing a bit of a hobby hangout. I didn't schedule it or anything like that. Just going to be chilling, doing some painting work. The reason I'm keeping it kind of low key is simply because my internet keeps being fickle this winter. It seems like my area is having a lot of trouble. So if it does go out, whenever it goes out, we'll be done. But honestly, I'm going to try to do my best to keep other things that's going on in the background to a minimum so that we can hang out as long as possible. And so today I'm going to go to the downward cam. And like I said, we're just... Ooh, that is all out of whack. Let's see if we can pull this forward a smidge. There we go. I gotta readjust this sucker. Okay, and we got some people pouring in. Hey, everybody. Let me pop out the chat so I can actually see it from my angle. Before you ask, yes, I can see and hear you. Thank you, Brennan. You're my rock. Okay, let's get to some painting here. Hello, Doug. Hey, Flying Irish, what's up? So we're hanging out. Let me grab a few brushes here. Let me painting up some more of the Scions of the Flame. I keep forgetting their name. Pretty, I don't want to say forgettable, but it's one of those things that's like, they just don't feature enough to be like, remembered all the time kind of a thing, but whatever. Hey Doug, hope you have a good day from down under. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much, buddy. Midnight Movie Club, that sounds familiar. I don't know why, but yes, we're gonna be painting up some Fireboys. I actually have 4 of them done already. I have my leader guy. I'm not sure how well that shows up on my cam. I need to get a new webcam, but I went with like a dark red, like samurai style armor with kind of an ochre color to all their clothing, and a very dark, I started at Griff Charger Orange on the scales and then used a bunch of washes to bring that color down. And so it's very like muted and that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's the colors I'm going with, where it's kind of an orangey brown for the pants, ochre for the clothing, and then the armor pieces are red. Oh, here's the fire guy. Enwrapped in flames. I'll take some better pictures and throw them up on social media, but yeah, so that's, I guess I actually have 2, 4, 5 guys done. And there's just these 3 remaining. I tell you what, I'm going to talk about it again tomorrow because it's while you're reforging, and that's what I do. But I have had so much fun lately playing Warcry with my buddy Robbie. It's been an absolute blast. That mean looks great. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's it's been absolutely awesome. We did we're doing a campaign, just the 2 of us, and we did our, what do you call it? Convergence, that's the word I'm looking for. Convergences last week. And so basically, our war bands have fought. I'm using my Corvus Cabal. He's using his Night Haunt. And we're staying very, not neck and neck per se. Like, one of us will be ahead by like 2 points here or there. But we're staying very close, I guess. I guess neck and neck. Yeah, that totally works. But staying very close in terms of our points and territories we control and everything. And so we decided last week we should have some fun, break it up a little bit. And so I've been planning out some challenge battles and that kind of stuff. I'm trying to get some fun ideas together on ways to kind of mix it and shake it up a bit. Just so it's not the same 2 war bands punching each other in the face, over and over and over again, which could be cool, for sure. But, when there's only 2 of us playing the game, it's not a lot of variety. So, let's see. Morning, Doug. To be honest, I've had such a bad week, and this got me out of bed. Oh, buddy, I'm right there with you. But I don't mean to be a bummer. Stoked and chill and talk. Yeah. No, I'll be honest with you. It's been a rough week all around for me as well. We had a big old pipe burst in our downstairs, and I feel like I've been very uncharacteristically absent from my life in terms of like responding to people. And so if you have reached out to me this week and I have not responded to you, I promise I am so sorry, but there's just a lot going on. I gotta put family first. And so yeah, like had to run out the other night, Tuesday. I had to miss my Soulbound group because I had to do a water run because we had no drinkable water here. And what else? Well, we're still waiting on the plumber to come back. I don't know, bunch of stuff. Bunch of boring adult stuff. And that has no place here. In the dojo. The place where warriors are painted and made. Stoked for Hot Pockets? Will, I got you with that one, buddy, and I'm so glad. I have another Hot Pocket convert. Okay, and we need to get his boots as well. So yeah, there's a lot of earthy colors, a lot of warm tones, very, I guess, autumn-y, I guess you could say, but I like it quite a bit. One thing I do recommend y'all go check out, last night, my good friends over on Rerolling Ones were guests on Warhammer Weekly, talking about Daughters of Cain. And I really highly recommend you go check that out. There's some great discussion. I'm so bummed that with everything going on, like the maintenance guys didn't leave until almost 9 last night, our time. So I wasn't able to watch it, but it is the first thing up I'm going to preview, and I did catch some snippets. I popped in for a hot sec. And so I'm going to watch it again, but I highly recommend y'all do as well. Great commentary from all the guys, because there's so many people who have played Daughters of Cain or had experience with it or played against them, that kind of stuff. So 10 out of 10. Plus, you know, I'd follow Jack off a cliff when it came to his word on Warhammer. So trust him. If he hasn't played it, he's seen it. How about that? Let's see. Going to do any object source lighting on the fire, folks? Not really. I kind of want to keep them simple, if I'm totally honest with you. I don't know why. I just I'm really enjoying like just cranking out warbands lately. And I think at some point I am going to go back and expand on these things. I'm going to buy like another Chaos set or something like that, just to have a bunch of models for conversions and kit bashes and all that kind of stuff. But for right now, I'm just enjoying what I'm doing. But but the cool thing about object source lighting is that it can be added at any point. I can go back at any time and throw it in there, and that's important. Been looking to get back into Warhammer. Used to play back in the fantasy days. Any AOS armies that's beginner friendly, as I need to catch up on all the changes. In terms of beginner friendly armies, there are a few that I would recommend. My number one recommendation for you, if you want simple, straight fun, that is the heart of AOS, Orc War Clans. Straight up. The reason I say Orc War Clans is because they do exactly what you'd imagine. Rush forward, punch stuff in the face, and be really aggressive and brutal about it. And everything is just built around that idea, right? And there's a lot of very simple but effective buffs. It'll get you reintroduced to everything in terms of allegiance abilities and that kind of stuff. So I highly recommend that. If simplicity is the only metric by which you're looking for an army, that would be my vote. Now, if you don't like, because Orc War Clans, if you played Fantasy Battles, it's not Orcs and Goblins anymore. Now it is Iron Jaws and Savage Orcs. So basically, you just lost the Goblin part, but they have their own books, and they all work together pretty well. So yeah, that would be my suggestion. Now, of course, if you don't like the way that they look or whatever like that, that's a different story. Then we'll find something good for you. Let me just find a paint here. Man, I swear I am incapable of finding a paint when I need to. Okay, I'll take that. let's see. Give me just a hot sec. Smoking gray. Sigor. Man, they made all of these pots look exactly the same. Here we go. My goodness, that took way too long. I apologize. Let's see. Back to questions here. Question: best way to add blood splatter? I actually did a video, Cody, that just talked about it briefly. But if you go back into like my most recent videos, I think it was just like last week. Essentially went over like how to find a good blood splatter and give a shout out to your FBI agent who's now assigned to you because you're on some kind of list. And basically find and copy a pattern for blood splatter. But yeah, I mean, honestly, so how I do it is I just look at on the model where you want it to be, you know, whether it's on a blade or if it's, I like to do blood splatter on terrain. So if it's on a wall, Google search blood splatter on a wall, that kind of stuff. And just keep it very simple. And then, yeah, it'll pretty much just show you exactly what that looks like. Let's see. Iron Jaws, baby. Yeah. Let's see. Ogre Mod Tribes. That's true, Steven. That's a great suggestion. Ogre Mod Tribes. They do things in every phase. Yes. They interact with all aspects of the game, and they are thick boys who can take a punch, so you have a modicum of leeway to make mistakes and stuff, and that is valuable. Absolutely. Get his sweet headband here. There we go. Let's see. Talking Sylvaneth, right on. Lore question: as the Venari units lore question: are the Venari units for the Lumineth meant to be Tyrion's elves, or are they also Teclises? Thalen, my understanding is that they are also Teclises, and they are essentially Lumineth that have not yet dedicated themselves to a very specific spirit. So like Spirit of the Mountain or Spirit of the Wind is what we're getting next, that kind of thing. And so if they have not dedicated themselves to anything yet, they are Venari. That is to say, that is the baseline, and everything from there should be crazy and unique and AOSy. So, yeah. So, be Dexter Morgan, blood splatter analyst. Exactly right. Although, if you do get contacted by the FBI, I'm not sure that saying, yeah, some guy on the internet told me to be like Dexter Morgan is a good defense. I don't think that might hurt your case a little bit. We're just picking out the handle of the weapon. Nothing too fancy. I'm just kind of doing snakebite leather, one of the best browns that Games Workshop has ever made. There we go. Let's see. Just found the channel. Started Warcry this Christmas with Catacombs. Love it so far, but I'm going a little bit nuts with warband choices. Aaron, tell me what's going nuts about it. Just too many options or what? I'm curious as to. I'm always on the hunt for listening to people's like pain points of like, you know, what was a struggle to get into the hobby, no matter what game it is. Because I think that's very telling. There we go. As for the metal on these guys, just to kind of keep it that nice warm kind of gold color, I'm going with Rune Lord Brass, the new one that just came out for Necrons. Let's see. If you are a Chaos Lord, what would your name and which Chaos God patron? Okay, so if I was a Chaos Lord, I think I would definitely be a servant of Nurgle, straight up, as I sniff. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I sniffle. I would definitely be a servant of Nurgle, and I would go. I don't know. Hey, you know what? Let's do this. There's a Nurgle name generator. Nurgle name generator by Realm of Plastic. He has a bunch of these. They're fantastic. Generate male name. Torglick Wormspoon. I'm trying to look up any, just general name that I would totally do. Let's see. Ulcererk? Nah, that's too much of a mouthful. It's got to be something I would actually say. Here we go. Glouse. Glouse Bilegut. That is my Nurgle name. Let's see. Bilegut. Yeah, that's my name. There we go. What army are you most proud of that you've painted? What army am I most proud of? Ooh, honestly, probably whatever I'm working on that week. I guess my Nurgle one was a step up. It was an achievement for me. Yeah. I'm going to go with the Nurgle one. I don't actually know what's next. I have the Skaven coming in as a painting project, but not necessarily an army, like a full army I tend to play. Basically, I want to get a Warcry warband established first in that theme and then kind of build up from there. But as far as like my next army that I want to play, I don't know. I'll be honest, I'm kind of like in a holding pattern for this Silver Tower set that a viewer, Warhammer Willie, who is awesome, Wargamer Willie, found, and he's sending me a copy of Silver Tower that he was able to snag for me. And I'm really excited for that because I want to see how much I like the Tzeentch Arcanite mod. Tzeentch Arcanite, the Carrick Acolyte dudes, because they're a model that I've always loved. But when the book dropped, there was very few ways to actually like engage with them back when I had Tzeentch before. And so, now that we have a few different like supplements and stuff that really added more options to them, I'm more excited to check them out this time. But yeah. So I'm sorry, I got totally derailed. Answer your question. I guess the Maggotkin of Nurgle is the one that I'm most proud of. Just reaching in there, grabbing different points of gold on him. We'll grab this mask. I gotta be honest, masks are half the reason this warband is amazing. They all have these like flame skull motifs and stuff. It's just ludicrously cool. Give me just a sec. It's got to get some fine detail in here. Okay. We're good to go. Sweet. Let me just grab the little icons on his clothes. And Dunzo. Let's see. Let me get caught up to where I was in the chat. Can you convert Fire Slayers into a Nurgle war and give them all soiled nappies? I don't think that quite typed out the way you wanted it to, buddy, but yeah, you could do whatever you want. I'm the guy who's just like, whatever, that's cool, let's do it. Let's see. Richard, hey everybody, what's on the painting table today? Today we are painting up some Scions of the Flame. And I'm going to try to play a little ambient music, because I usually have music going, but I wanted to make sure that the internet was stable before I did too much. But we'll give it a whirl. All right, just let me know about the volume. Sometimes it comes in a little hotter than I was expecting. We go back to the chat here. Oh, Cody. Oh, buddy. Thank you so much. Thank you. With the change, I'm truly sorry I missed most of your hangout. Glad you're still going strong, buddy. More Fire Slayer videos forever. You got it. You know what? I don't have one for this week, but next week I'll do a Fire Slayer video just for you. Thank you for being my friend. Something down the road and back again. I really do appreciate it. Let's see. Do you know a good way to convert a Mighty Lord of Corn to make him look a little bit different? Well, Jimmy, that depends wildly on what you want, because a little bit different can mean a lot of different things. Like, are you trying to make a different unit specifically? Are you trying to, like an already existing unit? Are you just trying to, give that older model kit a glow up or something? Oh wow, this song is annoying. This is just like a bunch of high squeal beeps. That's not music. Hello, Prophet of Hashut. Let's see. Wargamer Willie, howdy. Hey, buddy. I was just bragging about you, how great you are. Willie's the one who found a copy of Silver Tower locally and was like, yes, I will take that. So I'm very excited. Let's see. Aaron Brown, I'm buying every warband every time I go to the store. Skaven, Legions of Nagash, Caradron. They're all cool and not too expensive. Exactly. And that is why Warcry's the best game. It really is. It's interesting. So I haven't been playing much AOS. It's just not as popular locally. And obviously with 2021, it's just a weird time to try and get games in. Especially ones that require so much space at a local store and all those kinds of things. Well, I have been playing more Warcry than ever before, and I gotta say, I think it's a better game. I'm not gonna lie. Like in terms of, and I've said this before, like when Warcry first launched, in terms of the amount of fun you have relative to how much work it takes or time it takes to set up a game to make those moments happen, Warcry beats AOS every second of the day. Like, it takes far less work to have these epic moments where you and your buddy are laughing at the ridiculousness of one another. Whether it's Rob, who's my opponent lately, had like a Night Haunt champion who not his champion, but character who broke his leg, and we're like, how in the ever loving heck did this ethereal ghost break his non-existent leg? And it was just fun. We're having a great time. I think that the missions are super flavorful. If you use the Tome Champions, the supplement books that have come out, kind of like the General's Handbook, they redid a lot of the missions to make them much more fun. Like night and day different, because, and I don't say that to be over dramatic, but it is true, because they changed how long an average game goes for. It used to be 3 turns, and you wouldn't even have all your models on the board sometimes by the time the game ended, and it was kind of dumb. Now they've extended those things and added more depth, and I don't know, I'm just in love with it. I've said it a few times, it's my favorite war game. But yeah, so I totally agree. Buying all of the warbands is a very easy trap to fall into, and I say just enjoy your fall to chaos. I do want to get so right now I just have the Agents of Chaos faction book, which has all the rules for all the different chaos factions. I really do want to grab an order book and do a Cities of Sigmar warband. I actually have some Stormcast still from the last time I painted Stormcast, and so I can use those. Yeah. Note, last time I painted Stormcast, I've done that army twice and was real tempted to do it a third time, actually. Very recently. There's a local store that has a bunch of the old Battle Force boxes from previous winters and stuff, and it's just like, it's just sitting right there staring at me in the face. Like, I can do this. But common sense prevailed. As it is wont to do. Cool. I like this guy. All right. Oh, I just realized I am behind the chat here. Do I play 40K at all? I have a Chaos Space Marine Start Collecting box, and that's about it. I got it because 40K is much more popular locally. And so I was like, oh, I want to have something to play with folks just to, because there are folks who watch the channel that don't play AOS and they just enjoy, lore and that kind of stuff. And that's rad. So there's a few folks locally who don't play AOS, but they wanted to hang out. And so I was like, yeah, sure, no problem. And so I've been slowly building that up, but it's not something I have a real passion for. Yeah, I like it. I do like it, but it's a very different game. And honestly, like, I think it'd be easier to get me into Kill Team than full 40K at this point, because I just love skirmish games, if I'm honest. Having played an exorbitant amount of big armies, just by the virtue of how often I trade and that kind of stuff, I just think anymore, I'm like, man, I just really, really like 12 to 15 model teams where I feel like, my goals on the battlefield are very clear, and I don't know. For the same reason that I like Necromunda, where it's like, okay, every gang has something they're great at and something that they just eat dirt at. What's the thing I eat dirt at? And I have a few different gangs, and I love them. But yeah. So there's I don't know. I just prefer it. So I don't know. Maybe I'll try Kill Team again. I had some minor problems with it before, just because there were a lot of instances where, like, I felt like turns were going by where nothing was happening because there's so many negative modifiers. But I'm more than willing to give it another shot, and my buddy Rob actually has a bunch of that stuff, and I'm sure he would love to be able to justify purchasing it at least once or twice by having it around. So yeah, we'll do that. But no, as far as full 40K goes, I feel like I don't know. I guess I feel like full army games anymore just feel like work. And I don't know why that is. I don't know if it is a COVID thing, and then just I feel the anxiety of going into a store. I don't know. What did I miss? Did I miss anything? Good. Sweet. Then we just gotta grab the black wash here. Dark Tone. Kill Team has so many dice mods that it was a slog to learn. Yeah, that's kind of my thing. Or my thing is, so Necromunda has a ton of dice modifiers as well, and I love Necromunda. And so I was streaming at one point, and someone brought up that fact, and they're like, "Well, how come it seems like an inconsistency that you like one but not the other for the same reason?" I said the difference is that in Necromunda there are a ton of positive modifiers and negative ones, and that makes a huge difference. There's a bunch of negative modifiers for terrain and that kind of stuff, but if I get my Escher Ganger in your face with a shotgun, I know something is going to happen, right? Like, it's not a stretch. There's no real gamble. You take a shotgun to the face, you get hurt, and that's just, I feel like, very reasonable. Whereas in Kill Team, because of the lack of positive modifiers like the shotgun offers in Necromunda, or at least it did at some point, it didn't. I don't know. It just didn't have that same power to me, where it's just like, oh. So we should all just stand really far back and supercharge all of our shooting? Okay. I kind of wanted something a little bit different than that, but okay. Let's see. But I do know that there's another release for it coming out. I don't know anything about that release. If anybody does, throw it in the chat. But let me turn that down a smidge. Felt the need to crank that one up. Okay. But yeah, so I don't know. I'm all about the skirmish games lately. Donnie over on Dice Chatter beat me to it because he started doing, what's it called? Frostgrave. Frostgrave is a cool looking game. If you don't know, I don't know anymore. I used to be very opposed. Not opposed, that's not the right word. But ambivalent, I think, is probably more accurate. Towards games that didn't have any models associated with them. So like Frostgrave is a perfect example, right? They don't make, I mean, they do have their own licensed models, but you can play with anything you want. Same thing with bolt action, that kind of stuff. And so, I don't know, I just never really got into those kind of games. And lately, now that I'm stuck in my quarantine house with nothing but a bunch of these like small war bands and that kind of stuff, I'm like, man, I could really go for a bunch of those kinds of games. I would love it. So to do Frostgrave stuff, I've even considered, I have my Warcry stuff, like my heroes and my elites and that kind of thing, and then buying just like free guild and then painting them just like a bunch of different ways to have them as, mercenaries that my guys hire and that kind of stuff. So I don't know. This guy, I think the only thing he has left is skin, which we can knock out real quick. Let's see. Let me look at the chat here. I did fall behind, so if I miss your question, I'm going to rapid fire through a few. We'll just leave this to sit here while my wash is drying here, but let's answer some questions. Let's see. Started my Khorne warband called the Black Fists, led by Morcast, with the champions of the Horde, like Skull Crushers, and have a Black Fist that have been doing some blood work. Okay, so this is your idea for, in terms of like how to convert. Where was it at? Oh, is there a Khorne name generator? I believe so. Let's see. If you go to Google and type in Khorne name generator, yes, it's the first thing that comes up. Realm of Plastic is the name of the website, buddy. That's awesome, Hyos. That's awesome. I love the Blood Crusher models. Like, every once in a while, I am sorely tempted to do a Khorne army, and I don't know how to feel about that, because like, it's funny. Shu over Early Ones, he swears multiple times that I have owned Khorne army, but I didn't. It was my roommates. I was painting it for him, and one game day, this is like within the first year of AOS's launch before points. I brought them to a store and we played a great game versus his Sylvaneth. But no, never actually had Khorne. For myself, I painted him the way that he wanted him, so I didn't quite get that experience of painting him. And so yeah, I've been thinking about it every once in a while, but then again, I think about every army every once in a while, right? Somebody asks, what's your favorite army? And my default response has become all of them for at least a month. But yes, all I have to say, Khorne has some stunning models, and I do believe that that's all he's got shown is that one army. Okay. That the Blood Crushers are among those. So good choice, brother. Just picking up the little bits here. There we go. And I'm honestly not doing a ton of highlighting at all on these guys. I want them to seem very shadowy and in the dark because I'm probably going to be playing them mostly in Catacombs, so I don't mind that actually. Right, let's grab... Oh, wait. He does have fire. Yeah, we need to knock that fire out real quick. Okay, back to questions here while I'm doing the fire. That was super generous. Oh, buddy. Thank you so much. What an amazing community. Thank you, Willie. You're so kind. I can't decide which Warcry warband to start with. Well, it depends on how you're getting into the game. If you got into it with some of the existing like starter sets, whether it's the original, the Untamed Beasts and Iron Golems, or the Catacombs set, I would probably, if you go Catacombs, I don't know. Honestly, all four of those options, they all have really good strengths. I would say if you go the route of the old starter set with the Untamed Beasts, I do think a good first purchase, no matter what, for either of those warbands, Untamed Beasts or Iron Golems, is buying another box of them separately so that you can actually have choices when you build your list, because there are really cool things in those factions, but the warband boxes give you like this nice even spread of troops, where it's like, actually, you know, maybe you want more of one over the other, or some of them have different like optional builds, that kind of stuff, so a little bit more freedom there. Whereas I feel the Scions of the Flame and the Cainite warriors, they're a little bit more well-rounded. I don't feel like you'll want to stretch out necessarily immediately and try other things. That would be my opinion based on that. And now, if you're playing with, if you're just going to go to the store and pick up, you know, models and assemble your own faction, that is up to you. That depends on what you value in your games, right? I mean, for me, it started off with all the Chaos warbands because I dreamed of a day when Slaves to Darkness would be able to take them as battle line, which now we have via Idolaters. So I'm very excited about that. And what else? Yeah, so I have a Chaos army at all times there. Love it. And then beyond that, it's been storytelling stuff for me. So it really depends on what you want. So go ahead and let me know in the chat. I'll try to keep an eye out for it. Like I said, I'm rapid firing through these here. Warcry is amazing. It's a great way to tell very characterful stories with your conversions too. Absolutely. Threadnist says, give me an excuse to buy a Mortarch. Neferata, Dominion of Blood exists. I think it's Dominion of Bones, whatever one I'm reading right now. Freaking amazing book. I'm turning it on the second I'm done with this. Let's see. Well, lore is your thing. I feel like you can put so much more narrative in a skirmish game than in an army battle. That's an interesting question. I like it. Or not question, but point. I'm going to open that up to everybody. Hey, everybody, do you agree with that? I'm thinking about it, and I kind of do. I think I do. I think I do agree with that. You can put more, I guess, life and or story and narrative into just a handful of characters versus a whole army. It's so funny that I never thought of that, really, just because like on a game system to game system, I know that character models are an easy place to create story and that kind of thing. But I never really thought about it in terms of like that is a reason to enjoy a specific game. I don't know. But I'm down for it. And if you hear a loud noise and I have to turn the stream off, I apologize. Like I said before, we had a pipe burst this winter, and so they are downstairs right now trying to fix it. They've been at it for a couple days now. It's just been an absolute mess. So anyway, if I hop off, that would be why. It's not like I just suddenly got tired of everybody. You know, I will say this is a model that even pre-assemblies would not help you paint them. Let's see. Biofoot's in the chat. I think smaller stake games are a bit more interesting to me, but that's mostly due to being RPGs first. Yeah, Oh, Heos06, you donated £5. Thank you, buddy. Your message was retracted. If you want to ask another one, feel free to do that. If you want more interesting kill team, play Gene Stealer Cult. See, I actually did try to play Gene Stealer Cult kill team when it first dropped. That was the 40k army flavor of the month that I had. And I liked it. I struggled. My buddy Ben, who was an awesome opponent and really cool person. He's not a power gamer like that. He did have one list for Tau that he was trying out because he wanted to have, like, you know, an event level list in his pocket kind of a thing. And then other than that, it was mostly centered around, his collection was mostly centered around, you know, his Space Marine collection. He does salamanders, which is just awesome. Awesome all around, but man, he crushed me constantly. Constant. Like I said, I'm going to skip ahead here to the bottom of the chat. If I missed your question, please ask it again. I really want to. I didn't realize my thing was frozen on one of the comments earlier. Let's see. Would you consider Slanesh mortals? The models are amazing. Would I consider getting into them? You know, I just started reading their lore last night. They are cool. Not super for me. It's not really my jam, but I understand why people love them. And if you do, listen to your heart when Slanesh is calling for you. It's the only wisdom I got for you. There's nothing else you can do. Just cleaning up these last bits. Some water on the brush got into this little thing, so we gotta throw some more pigment in there. Alright. Grab the wildwood. So yeah, let's see. Hey man, I just wanted to ask what your opinion is on the new Daughters of Cain endless spell Heart of Fury and its ability to reduce damage by 1. What do I think about it? I think it is super good. I have not, so like obviously when I get these battle tomes, I've been working on the lore stuff because that's what I create. But I have been reading through some of the other war scrolls and things like that, and I feel like the Daughters of Cain are just as brutal, but in different ways, I guess. I don't know how else to say it. You know, just things were kind of moved around and tweaked to make it more, I think, internally balanced in terms of, you know, there's reasons to take things other than just nothing but flood the board with witch elves. But overall, I don't feel like the power level of the army has changed drastically. It was always good. People just got tired of playing it or got tired of seeing it. Like, it was never, with its last battle tome, a bad army, you know? And that matters significantly. So, I don't know, I guess, you know, I mean, if that's where the power level of new armies is going to be, then I guess that they did good in terms of keeping the flavor and all that stuff. It's hard, because honestly, it's just never a faction. Like, I love Marathi, but that's about it. Like you know, the whole faction as a whole has never really interested me, except for that one character, which of course, you know, helps that it's like the most important character of the faction. But yeah, I don't know. So it's never been high on my list to spend time like dissecting and stuff, is I guess what I'm trying to say. Let's see. My roommate and I are doing a narrative with our AOS games. He's been learning Iron Jaws, and I'm I've played all my armies against him. Steven, that's awesome. That's just awesome to hear. I love that stuff. We whenever you can introduce someone to narrative stuff and just take the burden of being able to do anything wrong off of somebody's shoulders, it's very interesting to see how people react. So for example, we got done with our convergence battles and our Warcry games and that kind of stuff, and we were having a discussion, and I was like, okay, so when we started this 2-person campaign, we were using the Tome of Champions 2019, and we were taking our rules and my campaign information from this one very specific book, and I was just like, what if we just reset and we just like did this? And he wanted to change his leader because the new faction books gave him some new options. I was like, you just do that. Like, well, what about, nope, you just do that. You just do whatever you want. Game updated, let's have fun. If they gave us permission, if that's something that I feel like anytime they release a book, it's giving you permission to do whatever you want, but some people like to play things right, and it's so interesting to see when someone's like, oh, you mean I can break rules just to tell a story? It's like, yeah, it's the best part of breaking rules, man. All the ridiculous hijinks that these characters and armies can get into. If I go kind of quiet, I apologize. I'm half listening to my wife giggle downstairs as she talks to a friend, and it makes me happy. Let's see. Let's see. Do you think there's a chance we'll see Malarian in the Broken Realms series? I'd like to. I think if so, well, I guess I'm curious as to how long the Broken Realms series is going to be perfectly honest with you. I don't really know. That being said, it's a great way to introduce a new story element. Maybe not a faction. Like, I wouldn't want... For those of you who played AOS when it first launched, like the first time we got rules for like Sylvaneth stuff was in a campaign book, and it was just kind of an awkward release because it's like, well, so wait, a whole faction's rules are in a storybook kind of a thing, and it was just kind of awkward. And then they came out with a battle tome later, but it was just this weird in the middle area. So I don't really want that. Just like I don't like that there's going to be all these new Lumineth units after their battle tome just released a couple months ago. But that was somebody else's decision, not mine. But anyway, so yeah, I'm hoping it's not like a whole army book inside of a campaign book. I want them to have their own battle tome and all this kinds of stuff. As far as do I think we'll see him as a character? I would not be surprised if like the ending of the Broken Realms, or at some point like Malarian as a character, came into the scene. That would be pretty cool. I would be super down for that. Grim, what mini is this? This is, I don't remember his name, but he's from the Scions of the Flame, the fire-based warband from Warcry Catacombs. Let's see. I've never even played an RPG. You know what? You're not alone. I could have said the same thing up until this year. I had never played a role-playing game until one person in the chat, Spezia Poet, who was an awesome gentleman, invited me to his group of friends to play one. And then Biofoot, who was also in the chat, invited me to his Soulbound group. And so through the wonderful friends I've made online, I've just been able to experience more. Which, my wife and I were talking about it last night. It's like, that has been a really I guess, plus side of the pandemic is just relationships are just very different. I take online relationships, I guess not more seriously, but I don't know. I guess in a way more seriously. Just because that's the main form of relationships that we have at the moment. But I know that playing online or role-playing online instead of in person is not everybody's jam. Let's see. Did you have a chance to take a look at the Champions of Order? I did, and I love it. It was a mad weekend because of the pipe stuff. I was hoping to have a video ready for Monday, but it just never happened. It is a super cool book. If you have been curious about getting into Age of Sigmar Soulbound and there's a character you want to create, basically they introduced a whole bunch of stuff from background tables that are useful for creating Age of Sigmar heroes in general, like for your actual warband. I don't know, yeah, and then goals and agendas and all these kinds of things, and then new miracles and that kind of stuff, things that your players have access to. Really cool stuff. Really, really enjoyed it. And honestly, if they have even half as much content for the, the Forces of Death one and Destruction, and I'm assuming there's a Chaos one, I think. That game's gonna blow up. It's gonna be awesome because it's just so cool. I mean, I know in the Death one you'll be able to create a vampire character, which I am so excited to see how that works. I wonder if you can have a thrall, like as essentially like a pet, because you can tame creatures in the game. So I just imagine it would be kind of the same thing. You have to summon the skeleton to you. Well, let's see. Say hi to Jess for us. Oh, thank you so much, Flying Irish. Let's see. Been looking for starting Warhammer. AOS. Used to play Lord of the Rings. Sweet. Not sure if I want to be Skaven or Flesh Eater Courts. Flesh Eater seems cost effective, but I want to paint a Skaven army. I totally get that. I don't have a good answer for you because I can't tell you how to spend your money. Definitely a strength of the Flesh Eater Courts is how easy they are to get into. That Star Collecting box is utter insanity when it comes to the value in terms of how the faction is actually built. But I am somebody who always, saving money doesn't feel as important when you're like 30 crypt ghouls in and you hate your life because you actually didn't want to paint them. You wanted to paint Skaven, kind of a thing. So it's like, yeah, I always say go with whatever you want to paint. You're not making a bad choice either way. Both are super good factions in the game with lots of options and stuff. So there's no wrong choice. One of those few things in life. Honestly, it's probably one of the reasons I like wargaming so much, is because like most of the time there's just no way to mess it up. You do what you like. You're only messing up if you're not enjoying yourself. I don't know how else to say that. And that's why that's why there's not a lot of negativity on the channel, right? That's my stance. You're only doing it wrong if you're not having fun. Life is far too short to talk about a hobby that brings stress. Okay. He is coming along. So we're going to grab the silver next. We're going to wash them and then work on the fire. Let's see. Question. Gave my buddy a 2K Khorne Mortals army for free. He returned it a month later. He butchered half the army for parts. Should I be mad? And I mean destroyed models as in a useless state. Well, Cody, I'm gonna present to you two contradictory but both fully accurate truths. In that one, that's a crappy thing, and it just sucks, and I'm sorry. The other equally true statement is that if you gave it to them for free, it was theirs to do with what they pleased, and in that sense, no, I guess. Doesn't mean it doesn't suck. I don't know how else to word that more delicately, but let's see. Hi guys, new to the streams, but I must say it's a nice way to hang out with people. Just finished my Chaos Lord of Slaanesh on foot. Oh, the old metal model and the last 5 Chaos Warriors. Now I have 45 for my army. Well, Michael, thank you so much for joining us, buddy. Would love to hang out with you a little bit. Do you think Cursed City is going to come with terrain? Probably not, or if it is, it's probably just going to be like doorways and stuff. Because it is a quest game, I'm assuming it's going to be like Silver Tower in some capacity, which had a few little odds and ends, but mostly it was just models representing characters or villains and tiles for the floor. So would it be cool? Yes. Am I expecting it? Not really. Speaking of which, yes, I do know that a model for Quest was previewed, and we're going to do that in just a second. I just wanted to kind of get to a good point to let my model sit. So once I get through here and I do the washes and stuff, then we'll go over and take a look at it, if y'all haven't seen it yet. They showed off another one of the main villains. I'm very excited to learn more about them. So yeah, I'm so excited for Quest. Y'all have no idea. Man, I'm just pumped. I've been playing nothing but Warhammer Silver Tower, the cell phone app version, which is surprisingly good for not being what Silver Tower is. I really do like it. I mean, it's the same basic principles, right? You're in a series of dungeons, you're going around crushing. The only thing different is you don't have to you know, control your flow of dice like it's a precious resource. You just get attacks and that kind of stuff. So it's like, it's different a lot in terms of how it plays, but the end result is kind of the same. You just get these cool champions going around smashing stuff up. Let's see. Doug, I'm so hyped. Session 0 of our Soulbank campaign starts in 2 hours. Oh, buddy, I'm so happy for you. Can I ask do you know what character you're playing as, or have you decided that yet? I went as an Excelsior War Priest named Vicar Urian. That's just about how we get the weapon. Can't forget the weapon. I love all the flames and the braziers on these things. Just like fill them full of oil or incense or something like that, just to have like human flames everywhere. Oh, so cool. We'll make the rock silver, and then we'll go over with a contrast color to make it pop. Alright, muy bien, great. Oops, sorry. I mean to bump the mic. Plasma. People are so full of crap. Not sure what that's in reference to. Though Broken Realms is way more exciting than PA, in my opinion. I'm gonna assume PA means Pennsylvania. Let's see. Doug, I think I'm going Doomseeker. Yeah, Doomseeker's rad. What models are these? These are from the Scions of the Flame Warcry Warband. We're just hanging out, just chatting, living, laughing, loving. Having ourselves a grand old time. Get that Wraithbone back. Yeah, I gotta clean up the fire part. Psychic Awakening. There we go. Okay, that makes more sense. I would agree. It definitely had a stronger start. I can say that much. Because like the first Psychic Awakening book, it was cool. Right? Was that the one that I think where Gilliman came back or whatever? It was very cool, but the actual story aspects of it left a lot to be desired by a lot of people. I don't know. I just was not into 40K at the time enough to really appreciate those books. But I get it, you know. Let's see. Psychic Awakening, we were talking about in relation to the Broken Realms. Oh, yeah. I mean, my opinion is that Broken Realms crushes anything that Psychic Awakening did. Just, I mean, but but then again, we'll see. I think we'll know a lot. I think, what do I think? Let me put words together first. I would not be surprised if we felt way better about the direction in comparing the two, campaign supplements after Broken Realms Techless, because it's like we're assuming Broken Realms Techless just kind of points us in a whole new direction, right? We're going Techless versus Nagash. Nothing to do with Marathi. And I just want to see, if they deliver the same kind of quality for Death players as they do with that kind of stuff, it could be a home run, or if it's kind of lazily done, I don't know. Okay, give me 1 second here. I'm just snagging some of the details. This guy has so many bulges. Ridiculous. He's got muscles that don't exist. I love it. I'm here for it. We'll just write those off as being like demonic boons, right? Serve corn long enough. Earn that 7th ab. Gains for the gains, God. Okay. Let's see. 2+ stuff. How do you think I should convert my Mighty Lord of Corn to make him look a bit cooler and different, but still use the same war scroll? Buddy, you asked that before. It depends. What's the theme of your army? Are you just trying to make him look like not the same as the GW model? Like, I'll be honest, conversions are not my thing. So I'm not. It depends highly on what you're going for, right? Like, I don't convert just to convert models. So I don't know. Like I said, it depends on. I need more detail on what you're looking to do, other than just different and cool, which are a little bit too broad for me. And last little bits of skin here up on the arms. Sweet. Now, what I like to do for muscles and stuff like that is when I give this time paint to dry, I'm actually going to take some of the Magos purple contrast. It's an extremely thin, like pinkish purple, and I'm going to go in and basically trace the outline of the muscle, so it adds a little bit of like, there's a little bit of color to the shadow. I like that quite a bit. I think that's always my favorite look. What is next? I think wash time. We gotta get the washes on before we can do much of anything else. So let's do that. Let's see. I love the Lord of Games model. Let's see. I'm a huge 40k fan, but I was really let down by it. I think one of the best things about Broken Realms and AOS in general is that the setting is a lot more free. I agree with that. I do. I think I understand that Games Workshop gave up a lot by moving away from the old world, but then I look at things like Psychic Awakening, where I'm like, they're so tied down. You know what I mean? They can't have a guy cough without someone being like, actually, in book 34 of this series, we learned that guy can't cough because he has no lungs for which to breathe. And you're just like, son of a gun. You know what I mean? I don't know. I feel like it's a very what should be a very expansive setting to a certain extent has become a noose that they're all stuck around, or a leash, because people get really attached to all the various characters. But as my favorite 40k podcast points out, and that's independent characters, go check them out. The universe is so vast that like nobody matters, right? Like, your leader of the Ultramarines guy, okay, there's been a bunch of before him and a bunch after, and yeah, you might want to see how his story goes, but honestly, he's not going to save the universe. Like, the whole point is that everything is just screwed, so don't be so attached to it. But that's not a reasonable answer for some folks, so you get some folks who are like, but they built him up for so many years. It's like, yeah, it doesn't matter. He's one dude amongst trillions. And that's always kind of been where 40k loses me, because it's just so tied to those set people. It's like, no, there's so much more going on. Let's see. Honestly, I do love every Slaanesh Mortal model. I think GW really hit the nail on the head with those designs. I totally agree, yeah. I think they absolutely nailed it in terms of, paying homage to, like, people, I know for a certain amount of time were worried that they were going to, like, tone down Slaanesh in terms of make it more family friendly, that kind of stuff. I feel like they accurately sidestepped that problem. And then made things new and clean and frankly sellable and not over the top, but they still very much fit with some of those older aesthetics that I like. So I am, for one, at least a very happy dude with the Slaanesh release. It's not an army I want. I'm not going to pick them up, but I think they fit in so well with the rest of the line and the game in general, really. Let's see. Rich P, love your content. Oh, buddy, thank you so much. Ex-fantasy fan here. Lore-wise, at least, trying to my best to get into AOS. And as time gone by, they've released some great content. Question. Okay, buddy, I am ready for your question. I keep hearing of a new kind of dwarf race with the return of Grugny or something. Have you got any insight into that? Not really yet. We know Grugny he exists. He's still around. He's still actively doing things. He's in the Spear of Shadow books, but he hasn't really been much of a major player in terms of like having an army and stuff like that and doing things personally. He's been using a lot of emissaries of other races, which is cool, but not quite the same as having their own faction. So not really any real information yet for you. But obviously the second we hear anything, I'm excited about that. Grugny's actually just his presence in the Spear of Shadows book. I loved his description so much that I went from utterly, ambivalent towards dwarves to I was like mathing out how much a Cities of Sigmar dispossessed army would be. I liked him so much. They made him seem somehow larger than life and weary, and he was just cool. Okay, we're just pulling out these flames. Okay. Sorry, went quiet there. This is kind of a hard to reach area, and so I have to like, pull the breath in. But yeah, no, I haven't really heard much about that. But like I said, Rich, the minute I hear anything, it'll be on the channel, I promise. Because I like me some dwarves. Let's see. Uh, 40K has the problem of having its narrative tied mainly to the Imperium, while AOS has avenues in all the factions. I would say yes, but not only that, but like one step further in that, if we're calling the Grand Alliance Order sort of like the proxy for the Imperium, which functionally in terms of like just being against chaos and sometimes a little bit self-defeating in its goals and that kind of stuff, then absolutely. But I think the thing I like is that I feel like the individual factions within Grand Alliance Chaos are just varied enough that they have their own life. And, the Deepkin don't need any other faction, but they fit in, in terms of like the grand narrative. We saw that with Broken Arms Marathi and how they can have a part to play in major stories without necessarily being allies with anybody. That kind of stuff is rad. Let's see. Doug, do you have any house rules for Warcry? House rules. I was actually just thinking about that the other day. Things that I would say, if the mission says go to 3 turns and you're using like the deck, the mission cards that come from the deck that they give you, I would say 4 turns minimum. Like they started doing that in the most recent Toma Champions, or I guess they did in 2019 as well. But yeah, they basically increased the time of the game to closer to 4 turns. Because in some of those missions, your reinforcements don't come on until round 3, and so you just literally don't get a chance to play with your models, which is dumb. So I definitely say that. Go ahead and extend the game out to a 4-turn minimum. And beyond that, not really. I actually really like the game system the way it is. Yeah, that's about all I would say. I don't think I have anything specific other than that. I mean, because that's one where like a core function of the game is not fun, right? How it ends too quickly for people to be able to like do things. in my opinion, it's not operating as intended. But I understand why some people are like, no, this is totally cool, whatever. So that's my suggestion on that one. As far as anything else, not really. I don't have any specifically good suggestions for you. How are you doing that fire? Yeah, so it's primed with Wraithbone, which is one of the spray primers for contrast, and in yellow, the yellow contrast paint over all of it. And then you work your way from the end of the fire to the front of it, so where it's coolest to warmest, with orange and then red. So basically, to put this really simply, I'll do it on camera here for you. I guess I could move this, probably make it a little easier to see the color. There we go. So I did the whole thing with yellow, and then from the tip of the flame, I put some Griff Charger orange and pulled it to about halfway down the yellow. And then you just kind of dry brush a smidge on there, just to kind of fade it into the yellow a bit. And then you do the same thing with red, going halfway up the orange. And then once that dries, I'm going to throw just a little bit of a wash of Nuln Oil up on this second half of red to make it black, or darken it a smidge, and it'll look like a roaring flame. Also, if you want to add more depth, like I will do here in a second, I really recommend a wash of, what's it called? What's the name of the wash? Casandora Yellow, because it shadows the yellow of the ending yellow more, and then brings the orange and the red kind of together. So I think that's a wonderful way to do it. Let's see. I've been painting Warhammer AOS for a few years and want to start playing. Do you know what I need to buy and where I can find people to play? I already have the minis. Jamie, where are you located at? Just generally speaking. I'm not looking for, like, your home address, social security number, and whatever. As far as what you need, well, the core rules are for free online, which is wonderful. A little too much yellow there. There we go. And you need a battle tome for your army. I'd recommend that. Honestly, if it's your first game, I would say even skip the battle tome. If you download the free Age of Sigmar app, all the war scrolls are there for all the units in the game. Pull up what units you own, and they have a free list builder online. You can make a free list. Don't even worry about allegiance abilities. Just get used to rolling dice with people. That would honestly be my main suggestion, to see if you like it. The battle tome rules add a lot of complexity, or at least they can. It's a little bit relative to each faction, but they certainly can. Oh, you're over in Ireland. I'm afraid I'm sorry. I don't know anybody over in Ireland. Well, except for you. And a few other folks in the chat, but I don't know them by name or like location. Because I'm going to go ahead and assume Ireland's not just like 40 miles wide and it's easy to get around everywhere. I'm sure I'm sure, just like America, you have cities and then you have middle of nowheres. Places where men fear to tread, kind of a thing. Let's see, we got a little bit of Yandin. Missed one little bit here. Question: what if Grugny decided to take a much more active role in KO life? Thoughts? Would it change KO culture? I think it would definitely kind of be, I guess, kind of like Nagash to death, where it's like everyone in this faction has an opinion on Nagash. You're either a total servant or you're the Flesh Eater Courts, where you're kind of like doing your own thing and it just depends on how crazy you're feeling that particular day. So my point is, like, I feel like you would have, every Skyport would have a different response. You'd have some that were like, no thank you, you weren't here when we needed you and we haven't needed you since. We're doing just fine, okay, thanks, bye. And you'd have some that are like, you know, this is our creator, it's our designer, it's our father, our patriarch. Absolutely, we should go back to acknowledging him. You know, especially if you were to say bribe them with, I say bribe, that's not quite the word I'm looking for, you know what I mean, but gift them with different like new technologies and stuff that they could profit off of. I think if we started speaking their language, so to speak, yeah, I don't see any reason why they wouldn't, you know, bring him in at some point. But I think it would be a long and hard road with all the distrust that's there. But, you know, honestly, that's a story I would read. You know, how he's trying. I never thought I'd say, like, here, read this amazing story about a dad who's trying to reconnect with his children, you know. But hey, I'm here for it. I'm here for whatever. Let's see. Trying to decide on what color to make her hair. Let's go. I'm actually going to have her kind of be like an old witch, so we're going to go with a gray and white. Let's see. From what I've seen, the Middle Earth game is cheaper than 40k AOS and Necromunda. That is my understanding as well. One reason I prefer playing 40k over AOS is 40k has rules for playing 500 point small games and AOS does not. That is a completely fair point, and I like to think in my own little world that Games Workshop is hopefully seeing the success of both smaller point formats and what do they call it? Not Path to Glory, whatever the narrative style of 40k that they have in all the new books is, that is working for them, and that they port that over to the next edition of AOS. Because the problem is, the way that battle tomes are written with the Path of Glory stuff inside them and that kind of, it just needs a whole reset. It just does. If you want to add some of those same concepts in. And I want all of them. I totally agree with you. Absolutely. I want to see all of that. Let's see. Question for the chat is Lord of the Rings tabletop, is it expensive or cheap? Oh yeah, sorry, that's what prompted the response earlier. It's on the cheaper end, Hugh. Middle Earth game is great. I know, we have a local guy, and his name's Jeremy. He's awesome, and I totally have been dropping the ball because I promised him I was going to start painting up some Lord of the Rings stuff so that when quarantine's over we could play together. And I need to get on that because I've just become so infatuated with Warcry minis and now Star Wars Legion that I haven't quite gotten around to it yet. But I guess I feel like Legion kind of takes precedent just because we have a local group for it. And that just gets me excited to paint stuff. When I know that I can take it to a game night and actually, like, have experiences with it. But yeah, I mean, honestly, they are, without a doubt, always the most fun-looking gaming tables at any convention or game thing that I've seen. Because, I mean, I've only been to one convention, as Nova, but I watched, like, the live cams and stuff like that from several of them, because, like, Adepticon has those kinds of things. So cool looking. I mean, just people go so far out of their way to recreate stuff because I think part of it is it's so memorable and iconic and none of it's abstract. You know what I mean? Like, you've seen these things in a movie and you can recreate them, as opposed to AOS where it's like, okay, how am I gonna design a table for blank? It's like, no, you've seen this space. For me personally, so I had the Battle of Pelennor Fields, but then I realized I didn't really like either of the armies, and so I kept the rulebook and I sold it off because I was like, okay, this game is a bit more affordable, so I should definitely play the faction that I want and like specifically want. So my favorite scene from Lord of the Rings has always been the Mines of Moria, when the small group of, the Fellowship fights off these massive unending hordes of goblins and crap. Love that scene. However, the thing that always interested me, and I always wanted to know more, was I wanted to know the story of the dwarves who died there, right? Like, what happened before all of this nonsense? And so I'm gonna try to build up a Mines of Moria army, but like of dwarves. I don't know if that's actually possible, like if those rules exist, but I'm gonna build it, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, so Lord of the Rings is a super cool game. Plus, I've thought about streaming every once in a while. I love Battlefront style games where you're just a nobody and you have to like earn the use of a hero, kind of a thing. I love that stuff. So like Star Wars Battlefront, there's kind of the more iconic ones of those games, but there is a Lord of the Rings one, and I remember it being pretty cool. Wasn't Gimli's father leading the Moria expedition? I thought so. I know he had some relation. I don't know. Honestly, I have never been a huge Lord of the Rings guy. And so I only have a very basic understanding. Unfortunately. That's one where it's like I'm on board with the setting, but I'm much more interested in the game aspect. Probably even more so than like something like Marvel Crisis Protocol or something like that. I just love games where you have nobodies who can do cool stuff. You make your own story, tell your own narrative. As opposed to everything being a named character, I think that's kind of why I never fully dipped into that game. Even though I know from a few people who have told me, I would probably love the rules. I'd probably love that game. Rules-wise, but it just doesn't do what I like to do in terms of story building. And honestly, like, that's why I play these games. When I do the Battletome reviews, it's always centered around, does this let me build the kind of army that I want? If no, the book's a failure. I don't, but none of that has anything to do with points or balance. It's just, can I do what I want to do? Yep, cool. I'm satisfied. Can I tell a cool story? Yes. Are there other things to be aware of? Like maybe this book is a little bit too good and my opponent should get some extra points when it comes to balancing the game. That kind, those kinds of discussions can be had. But in general, I'm pretty satisfied as long as I can come up with a cool narrative idea and then bring it to the table. Just getting a little fine, I don't know, tchotchkes, I guess, whatever she's adorned around her staff. Okay, I think that's good. I just gotta get the silver and then we can start doing some washes. I like this warband. They came together very quickly. Let's see. Hey Doug, what do you think about the Droning Guard sub-faction from the Wrath of the Ever-Chosen? Also, what do you think Maggotkin will do in Teclis? Well, so we know that there are Maggotkin in Shyish already from Nagash Undying King. How that necessarily looks, I don't quite know, like what their current state is. I wouldn't be surprised if it was the Order of the Fly. That would make me so stinking happy to see existing. Yeah, that's probably my number one guess. Because that whole book, Nagash Undying King, it's after Nagash got punked by Archaon during the Age of Chaos. And so Nagash is taking his time coming back to life. And Neferata and Manfred are in charge of defending him while he's kind of putting himself back together. And who they're defending them against is a massive Nurgle invasion in Shyish. And it goes beyond the actual enemies in the story. Like, they reference the fact that they've taken other territories and that kind of stuff. So there's no reason to think that there's not still a very stable Nurgle presence in Shyish. At least that's my understanding. Well, let's see. Same here. Doug, I know Lord of the Rings lore a lot. As for 40k and Age of Sigmar, I just care for the lore aspect. Right on. That's fair. Everyone's got their reasons they like gaming. I don't know why. I remember going to see the first Lord of the Rings movie in theaters, and it just didn't grip me the same way as it did for some other kids. I don't know. I'm gonna go ahead and call it on this song because it's annoying me. What if I just made one note and did it over and over again and called it music? Yeah! Okay. Let's see. I'm a huge fan of Warhammer Fantasy World, and I've just been starting to look into Sigmar. Thinking of going the Deepkin or the Stormcast? Yeah. Maybe Sylvaneth. Yeah, I mean, if you want something that has good, like, old world fantasy feels, there's a few armies you can go to, actually, now I think about it. Yeah, I'd say just scope them out, see what you like. So, Doug, you could use a Balin model from the Hobbit range as your sort of leader. Okay. Oh, thank you. I'm sorry. I thought you guys were talking amongst yourselves. You were trying to help me make a Lord of the Rings list. I'm so sorry. Balin, the Lord of Moria, is the white-haired, father-like dwarf from The Hobbit. Okay. From my understanding, he was basically an uncle to Gimli, whose father was Gloin. Was also one of the elves in Thorin's company. Don't know what that means, but that's rad. Right on. That's awesome. Thank you so much for that lore update. That's a huge deal. Of just like, yeah, I mean, if I can't play... I guess, let me ask this. Are dwarves in Lord of the Rings, Middle Battle for Middle Earth, or whatever the name of the strategy game is called, are they like a fully playable faction? Like, can I play just dwarves, or is it always like, well, you can be Gimli, you know what I mean, or it's just one option? I'm curious about that, because I would, I guess I can just pull it up here. Let's see. Games Workshop, Middle Earth strategy battle game. I don't know. Let's see. Oh wow, I don't know any of these. Here's my immediate problem with Lord of the Rings. You ready? You go to the website, Lord of the Rings, good and evil. Okay. These names do not help me at all. Okay, show me all the good. Like, if you don't already know what you're looking for, that's a difficult pitch right there. Okay, so it looks like we've got Warriors of the Last Alliance, Rangers of Middle-earth, the Shire. Oh yeah, Dwarf Rangers. Okay, there's some. Dwarf Warriors, okay. Kind of mixed in here, kind of awkwardly. Citadel Guard. I kind of want a whole faction based around Boromir. Just so I can tell people, like, what a Boromir thing to say. Okay, Iron Guard. Okay, legitimate question. Are all of these characters mentioned in the books? Because, like, I don't recognize. Oh, these guys are awesome. Dwarf Vault Team. I love it. Okay, there's a few options for me. I can paint a few dudes up, get a little dwarf army. Bilbo looks like he got punched in the face. I don't know if you guys have seen that model. Oh, dwarf commanders, sweet. King's Champion. I'm not familiar with them. Dwarf Ballista. Okay, so the dwarf stuff, a lot of it's out of stock, but it's not unreasonable. There's an army there. Okay. Cool. That's all I was thinking about. Let's see. Can I play an army of Balrogs? You're asking the wrong person, but that sounds rad. I'm here for it. Yes, they're in the books. The books are expansive. Oh, okay. Wow. That, but that's my problem. I've never liked Tolkien, his writing. Maybe that's why my interest in Lord of the Rings stalled out. I just never could get into his style, because it's just like, I mean, I made this joke before, but the dude will spend like a paragraph describing the history of a cup, and you're like, wow, when is this ever gonna freaking end? And then the guy puts the cup down, and you're like, ooh, thank God that's over. He's like, but Aragorn put the cup on a table. Let's talk about this table. I was like, oh, sweet Jesus. And then he just dives into something else, and you're like, no. We don't need the backstory on every freaking tree branch. So that's basically how I felt about Lord of the Rings. How dare you? Yes, I'm sorry, everybody. Sorry, everybody. If your opinion is changed based on that, I assure you I have much more insulting nerd cred things that I could share. Okay, I'm just picking out the little high parts of these flames on the braziers. Let's see. I wonder if that's because the country is sold, the history is more important to us than American babies. I don't know. I think, for me personally, I think it's a style of writing where it's like, I want you to tell me why this is important. You know what I mean? Like, because going into the description of why an item, its history, is not the same as telling me why it's important. Because it might have historical significance, but if it's not related to the plot, I don't care. I don't want to be interrupted to talk about a cup. You know what I mean? That's kind of my thought. But I understand that some people are like, well, we should talk about it because it matters. It's like, well, in what context does it matter? Because it doesn't matter right now. Like, maybe we could save the mug talk for later. kind of seems like Middle Earth's got some big stuff going on, and we should probably, like, you know, stay a little more mission focused on that. We got big stuff going on. History is what of the cup is what I'm here for. Yeah. Let's see. Tolkien has nothing on H.P. Lovecraft about overly describing everything. Yeah. But, you know, it's kind of like Coke versus Diet Coke. You had to weigh your options. Or, like, you know, the sugar tastes better, but the aspartame is technically healthier. So it's one of those things, like, you know, with Tolkien and H.P. Lovecraft, it's like immersive fantasy universes to how much, you know, blatant racism and being men of their time can you tolerate? Because, like, H.P. Lovecraft as a person is just an insufferable human being. I'm sorry. But I agree. And then also the descriptions of the indescribable annoyed my friends to the absolute limit when she was trying to read Lovecraft. This is like back in college. Just like, the likes of which had never been seen before, you know, and just kind of it just keeps hitting that same note, and like, we get it. No one had ever seen anything like this before. Well documented. Move along. And I've only ever read, what's the one I read? Dun is in the name. Dunwich Horror. There we go. I was like, Dun story? Dun whatever. Why don't you use a palette? I am. Right there. Doesn't get any more palette-y than that. Okay, almost done. Let's see. Comparing H.P. Lovecraft to Tolkien is like comparing bourbon to black tea. I like that one. That's a good. Oh man, I have some Sylvaneth, but I don't like the minis. Do you know what I could use them for? I mean, honestly, you could make some really sick chaos terrain if you wanted to. Just like cut the Sylvaneth up and put their like screaming faces in there, merge them with some woods. I think that could be really cool. Especially, we know from the previews that we have on Warhammer Quest Cursed City that there is a Sylvaneth embassy there, which I'm sure has been degraded and fallen into some form of horror. So maybe, I don't know, hold on to them for those kinds of conversions and stuff. Would be my suggestion. Just add a little more shadow to this hair here. I want it to be gray, but not like washed out. Let's see. Oh, wet palette. Sorry. Oh, I see. Here's the typo. Okay, I'm sorry. I was like, why don't you use a palette? And I'm like, I don't know. There's a whole thing right here. It's kind of palette-like. As far as a wet palette goes, two reasons. One, I'm using a lot of contrast paints, which I've had trouble with when it comes to a wet palette. Just because the medium's different. The water, I've had trouble. It kind of like makes it separate, like the pigments and stuff. And the second one being that I just don't really like wet palettes, if I'm honest with you. I don't know why. I never have. I bought one. Didn't have a good experience with it, meaning like it was just a cheapo one, and I don't know, just never cared to try again. I'm sure if, I don't know. Is there a nice one on the market that, I mean, obviously nothing guarantees results, but that does a really good job? I'll try it. But there's just something nice about having a visual reminder of how much I've painted, you know? Plus, I've gotten pretty good about taking just about what I need. Doesn't always look like it, but this is all very thin pools. Like, it doesn't actually feel like there's a bunch of paint loaded up on this thing. Cool. He's just about done. It's got to grab the skin. And then finish up the flames once they dry yet. Let's see. Yeah, I hate Lovecraft personally. I was just thinking of the worst example of over-explaining authors. Yeah. For some reason, trying to properly thin my paints either on the palette or airbrush triggers my anxiety. I don't know anything about an airbrush. I actually have a compressor because I tried, and then I lost part of the actual brush, like a little spring coil busted out, and I lost it. And I just honestly have not gone through the trouble of ordering a new one because I was like, what am I going to use this for? Oh, man. Let's see. Red Grass Wet Palette is really nice. Red Grass. I'm going to write that down right now. Grass Wet Palette. Okay. Ooh, it does look nice. Cool. I'll check that out. Thanks, Darren. Did you try spraying your Skaven out in the cold yet? Skaven, no. I tried it on this warband, and it worked out pretty well. Got a few complaints for, opening the door wide during sub-zero weather. That ceased all further priming, but honestly, after this Saturday, it looks like it's warming back up, so I'll just do that then. Management had a few choice words to say about that. Forgive the quietness, I'm just picking out some of the detail here. Gotta do the customary hold your breath. Sweet. Ooh, another vote for the red grass palette. Okay, I'll give it a check. Do you have any problems with contrast paints on it? Airbrush is the new meta. Is exactly right. The only reason I was even looking at it again, I was like, oh, maybe I can use this to prime things, and I was like, I don't want to do that just to prime stuff. I can wait a week. Again, you just throw a tiny bit of the Cassandora yellow wash over all the parts of the flames for that little extra oomph of drawing all the colors together. I want to paint my Necrons, but it's so cold outside. 15 degrees is far too cold for a southerner like myself. That's funny. I know my, well, this has been the most brutal winter for me personally with all the pipes and water trouble that we've been having. We haven't had drinkable water out of our faucet for a couple days now. But my family down in Texas has lost all power, and yeah, they're just, you know, we're just chilling, trying to survive. So there we go. We have completed the warband. Let's get the fam out here. So we have our 3 little fire starters. I call them kindlings. We have Boss Hog with the samurai armor and the claymore. Johnny Firestorm sets himself ablaze. I don't know what to call him. He kind of looks like a mix between like Garo from Mortal Kombat, but also with a weird scythe flame thing. We got Spicy Meatball over here, spitting out fire through her dagger, and I'm just gonna call him the Brood, because he's just standing there brooding about something. Not really looking to fight. So there we go. Scions of the Flame. I gotta figure out how I'm gonna base them. I'll push those off to the side. And now, why is using an airbrush so polarizing in the hobby? I guess I don't really think about it as polarizing. It's kind of polarizing, I guess, in the same way that like CrossFit is, in that people who do CrossFit have to tell you how great CrossFit is. And the rest of us are just like, cool story, bro. Wasn't really talking about CrossFit, but all right. That is at least my take on the situation. It's not actually polarizing. It's just funny because people who have it love it. But that also does not mean it's a tool for everybody. Just as CrossFit is not a workout regimen for everybody. But like, I've seen people respond online of like, oh, is this airbrushed, as if like that's like a derogatory thing, and I don't understand. You know, a model can look however it looks. I don't care how it got there. If it looks cool, it is a well painted mini. So this is a priest from the old Warhammer quest. Let's see. Just like vegans. Except airbrushing is useful. Oh my gosh. Y'all gonna get me in trouble. Yeah. I know very well the effectiveness of an airbrush, and I'm very happy for it. For other folks. For me, I just never... I don't know. It just never gripped me. Not used to holding a metal model anymore, apparently. It's got some heft to it. I'm trying to think. I need to look up this model painted online. It's one of those things, like, because the detail is so awkward, I can't quite tell if his arms are exposed or if he has a cloak that goes out. Like, he has sleeves or muscles, because it's just an old metal model that has very poorly defined areas. So let's pause here and go take a look. Perfect. I had a 12-hour day yesterday, taking some time so I don't go over my hours. Oh, buddy, thanks for joining us. Let's see. Old Metal War. See if I can find a picture of him painted. Let's see if I can find a good picture of him painted. Had to modify that with the good clause here. Let's see. Oh, that's a pretty good one. Okay, yeah, that's kind of what I was asking for. If this arm section was intended to match the cloak, and it looks like for most other folks gave it a yes. Honestly, that looks like a rad war priest. I'm not gonna lie. Man, now I'm like rethinking about doing mine like that. I like him. I like that. We're gonna do that. Forget this Ushabti bone color. I like this quite a bit. I am so excited. So he was in the chat earlier. I'm not sure if you're still here, but Wargamer Willie is sending me a copy of Silver Tower, and so I'm very excited to jump into that. Okay. I'll tell you what, so we don't waste the paint. His cloak is sort of a Ushabti bone style color, so we're going to start using that on there. Because there's no reason to waste. What is everybody else working on? I'm curious. I always like to check in with folks, see what their hobby progress is going. For me, at this point, like I said before, I'm kind of just grabbing anything that's primed. In addition to the Scions of the Flame that we just finished, I was also able to prime up what do they call it? I always get their name wrong. The Unmade, the Warcry warband, where they rip their faces off as a way to, I guess, live better. They were models that just everyone was drooling over when they got previewed. It was just like, this is what Chaos needs to be. This weird out there stuff. And I'm here for it. Oh, sorry, I forgot to pull the chat back up front. There we go. Paying some Alpha Legion for a friend. Sweet, sweet. Thanks for the stream. I had to go tidy up my house, but made a decent progress on Alariel. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much, buddy. Yeah, I'll go check that out. Off to work. Y'all have yourselves wonderful days. I'm looking forward to painting a Lord of Pain and some of those Mirmadesh Painbringers this weekend, but I don't think it's going to happen now. Oh no. It's just delayed. Delayed in getting to you, I mean. Okay, let's do this. For me personally, I never like going full like a Abaddon black when I do black colors, because I like to just douse the whole thing in wash, so I take it one color higher knowing that I'm going to make it darker. So actually one of my favorite colors is from Privateer Press, and it is Iron Hull Gray. Yep, we're just gonna work it into the cracks and crevices. Man, I can still hear them working downstairs on that pipe. They must have. So like, they fixed the blockage of ice that was in there, and then I guess it's just been nothing but like trouble for them since then. I feel a little bad, but also it's like I kind of need some drinkable water. That's a pretty reasonable request. Alright, getting those sleeves. Hey Doug, hope you're doing well, staying warm. We were hit hard here in Texas. Yeah, Adrian, actually all my family is down in Texas, down in San Antonio and Austin, and all of them are without power at the moment. Yeah, we did pretty well through most of the winter, but the last week of it here anyway has just been absolutely brutal. So we'll get through. Okay, now let's throw down some red. Jamie, demons or mortals? Like, oh wait, answer your question. Listening while working, but at home I'm working on my Shyish themed ogres. Okay, right, got iron guts on the table currently. Sweet. Yeah, I'm so excited for Slaanesh folks to be able to start getting all these nice new fancy models. Because, you know, man, whenever they release a new model, the first wave of stuff that hits on social media and online, this is just my own personal opinion and observation. The first wave you see of people besides Games Workshop painting a model are all of the artists that they sent advanced copies to, which is super cool, and that means that they've had some time to put the work into them and have them look absolutely incredible. And then the second wave is all the people who like aren't the best at painting but really just enjoy it and just got excited and they just jumped right in. So sometimes they look a little goofy, but they're super passionate, usually like a lot of bold colors. And then after that is kind of more the average painter who's just like, yeah, you know, took me a while to build them, took me a while to paint them, that kind of stuff. And it's funny because if you go on, you know, Instagram after a new model is released, you'll see all those different stages of not completeness, because it's not a matter of being complete or even like necessarily about skill. It's just like the different kinds of people interacting with the hobby, and it's funny to see. I mean, we're gonna bring some life to this guy. Basically, I knew that I wanted to have a order, or at least like a Cities of Sigmar in some form, warband for Warcry, and I was like, okay, what would I want them to be? And I don't even know if there's is the Excelsior, I don't know if anybody knows or has a book nearby, but in the Champions of Order Warcry book, are there any rules for the Excelsior War Priest? Because he came out with Silver Tower. I don't even know if you can get him anymore. Yeah, he might be separate. He might just be in a separate box. Let's see. I would say to avoid Slaves to Darkness for future proofing reasons. The next Corn book is going to have keyword changes for sure. Oh, you're responding to somebody else. Okay. Or you could be like Doug and never worry about future proofing because you were going to trade the army before it gets an update anyway. Let's see. Yep, Corn Hero, keyword changes to Bloodbound. Okay, now we gotta get some brown on that book. Go with dark Rhinox hide. Do Cities of Sigmar warbands allow a single Stormcast model? In terms of like Warcry, no. No. You got to be all from one. There used to they had allies and heroes, and I guess, I mean, yeah, you could take it as an ally. Now that I think about it, because they rewrote the rules for how allies and that kind of stuff works for Warcry. And basically, if you're in the same, you have to be in the same Grand Alliance no matter what. But if you share a faction keyword, you can take them as a hero, which has different meanings than as an ally. That's my understanding. Let's see. So I'm reading the chat here. You guys are talking about the gradual separation of Slaves to Darkness from the other factions. My thing is, they still absolutely work. You can still have a Slanesh army. It's like, yeah, they don't get all the buffs, but I mean, it's also not like someone said that they've cut my army in half. I don't agree with that, because they're still in faction. They still, I don't know. That is, of course, my opinion, but I know people play the game for different things. Cities Underworld band idea, led by a free guild captain, have an eternal guard guy, a dwarf iron drake, and a regular free guild sword and board classic dude. Yeah. Oh man, and that would, a new captain model would just have a blowout sale. GW doesn't give a hard no, but they'll kill the incentive via keywords. Well, yeah, it's true, but I don't know. I'm also someone who still thinks that War Scrolls that are moved to Legends are still playable, so, you know, take that for what it's worth, because, you know, if you own the models and rules exist for them, go ahead and play. I remember at Nova 2019 getting smoked by Tomb Kings. That was a fun learning experience. Actually, that chest plate thing he's bearing needs to be silver, not black. I would love to see that, especially for an Underworld warband. Yeah, just a few choice heroes here and there that like people are wanting, but don't maybe necessarily warrant an entire new like army release. It's like, hey, listen, we got this model for a dwarf guy. Take it or leave it. I'll take it. So once I get the washes down on this guy, I think I'll hop off for the day, but I still got a little bit of time there. Till then. I like him. I like him a lot. He looks dumpy, and I'm sure that when I put the new War Priest model that came in Silver Tower next to him, he's going to look extra dumpy. But, you know, I got bit by the nostalgia bug hard. I was actually last night laying in bed and doing the most dangerous thing that I can do, which is, of course, be on eBay. And I was like, man, there are just some old sculpts that I have no reason to buy, but I like them. And then I was like, oh, you know what? I could do an Underworld's Warband with all these super old sculpts. I could totally do that. And it would have a reason to exist. And so, yeah, I was very excited about that. I was like, oh man, I could get like an old school Skaven Warband. It's like, well, I already have some Skaven. I should just stick to that. Or old school Beast of Chaos, that kind of stuff. It's just stuff to like mix it up a bit. I think that could be really cool. You can do the little hammer icon. Gots to have the hammer. Let's see. Someone say Tomb Kings. Where? Yeah, Nova 2019. I was playing in the doubles event with Jack, one of the ones, and our opponents, I believe, it was Daughters of Canaan with Tomb Kings as our opponent. And I remember thinking, like, that's an odd combination. And they basically walled in my entire army with the Tomb Kings. They went for a chariot list that basically just created a wall of wounds that kept coming back. And then basically the Daughters of Cain delivered the killing blow. You know what model is hella old but helps the look of it? The Free Guild General on Griffin. You mean the one that you can buy currently? Is that one old? I have no idea. But yeah, there are some old models that I look at and I'm like, this is the coolest. Why did we ever move beyond it? Gotta get the binding. And if you want to talk about the so I did see that they revealed some more of the bone splitter dudes and that kind of stuff. I want to save those for tomorrow, my Wire Reforging show. If you want to join me, I always do a weekly recap of everything that's been previewed or unlocked or anything like that. So pretty much the same time tomorrow, actually, as when they went live today. Let's see. Yeah, Doug, the Griffin is from 6th edition. Wow, I did not know that. I didn't know he was that old. some kind of skin color. Let's go for Bugman's Glow. Darren, unrelated to the previous topics, but I just got an ultrasonic cleaner, and it's amazing for stripping metal minis. For stripping minis and cleaning my airbrush. Got to use 90% isopropyl alcohol, though. Okay. If you don't mind me asking, are those expensive at all? I don't know anything about ultrasonic cleaners. But, we're sitting here daydreaming about, rebuilding stuff with old models, and it's something that I think I would need if I was going to, make a point to be like, okay, I'm going to hunt for metal minis, right? Just the ability to scour everything off would be important. Now we have officially entered the stage of the mini where he kind of looks like hot garbage because there's no depth, no detail. So we're going to add the washes here in a hot sec. Also, there are some weird noises coming out of the room next to me where the guys are trying to fix the pipes and stuff. Sorry if I seem a little distracted. Okay. I think we're about ready for some wash time. Let's see. Thought one of the silhouettes for the Saturday preview looked very Ossiarchy. Oh, yes. There is a Ossiarch Bone Reaper's Warband on its way out, is my understanding. So let's see. I need... Where did I put it? Skeleton Horde. Uh-huh. So let's see. Actually, we're going to start with the dark tone. Oh, speaking, I got some cool exclusive news for the folks who are hanging out with me. I don't know why I totally forgot this. So if you haven't seen the promotions for it, Army Painter is coming out with a really cool new line of products. Basically, the idea is helping people make their own dungeons for role-playing games. And if you want to see some cool hobby, go over to their YouTube channel because their artist in the company is doing a bang-up job. And basically, it's basically an all-in-one set that comes with a hot wire cutter for foam and a bunch of just random terrain bits to help you put together your first role-playing table. And so they're sending me a copy, which I'm very thankful for, very excited about. And then I do intend to basically build my own tiles for Warhammer Quest. So that is what I'm excited for. I'm going to build a Nurgle-y looking thing. Like there's some kind of overgrowth or corruption within the city. That's what I'm thinking. So yeah, I would highly recommend. I mean, they're not paying me to say anything. They just wanted to see if I had any interest in it. And I was like, yeah, that sounds rad. So I would love to do that. Okay, cool. Got that down. Let's see. Do you know a good way to build minis quicker? Jamie, I am so sorry. I cannot help you. It is honestly my least favorite part of the hobby. I got nothing. I'm so sorry. There's a few times where I'm just like, nope, you're SOL. And that's one of them. Maybe, build while you watch something or listen to something in the background. Anything that just makes time go by faster, I suppose. I'm going a little dark with this, but we'll pick that color back up. It's okay, that's why it's a recess shade. So basically I'm taking the Skeleton Horde contrast paint, using it as a wash. It's a very thin color, which ends up being pretty good for some of these purposes. Alright, then we got one more thing to wash. I just need to throw some wash on his face. Let's see. How goes the project to play Warhammer Quest with the community via internet? I mean, technically full steam ahead in that I have a copy of Silver Tower on its way, and Cursed City is going to come out whenever it comes out. I don't have an advanced copy or anything yet, so I mean, the plans are all there. I am excited to do that, yeah. For anyone who doesn't know, I do plan to basically, I'll take care of the board and that kind of stuff, and then have guests come on. They'll roll dice, we'll make role play decisions and that kind of stuff. So that's my idea. Oh, $30. Sweet, thank you so much. I'll check that out. So yeah, this guy needs a hot second to dry, but then we'll start building the colors up, and I think he's gonna look pretty stinking cool. So I'm excited about that, especially the robe. We can make the robe look real nice. With some highlights of Ushabti Bone and some Screaming Skull. It'll look good. But yeah. Anyway, friends, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I will catch you next time. Actually, I'll catch you tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to be doing the While You're Reforging. We'll recap all the stuff that came out for, so far this week, Warhammer Quest Cursed City and the new Bone Splitters Warband. There's been a few other news things I want to cover. So anyway, I will check you out there tomorrow, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. For While You're Reforging. So friends, thank you all so much for hanging out, and happy wargaming.